Welcome back to another episode of Wrestling Rewind with your host. I'm Max.
I'm Jay.
And what we have for you is the month of April 1996 recap of Nitro vs. Raw. And of course, we start with April Fool's Day, April 1st of 1996. And our Pepe outfit of the week is Cheetah Cowboy. Very nice Pepe. Unfortunately, we won't have too much more of you. It's a shame. It will be the end of an era.
You'll be missed, Pepe.
But for this week's Nitro, we jump right into the match. We don't even have the announcers introducing us to the show today because we have Sting and the Giant in the middle of the ring, and they're jawing at each other. And, of course, the Giant motions, he's going to break Sting in half. So Sting spits at the Giant, and the two then start a match.
I think Sting was teaming up with the Giant to go against Harlem Heat or something.
Yeah.
And then they said Jimmy Hart paid off Harlem Heat.
It didn't make any sense to me why he did that. It really did not. I might have missed a line from the announcers where they tried to explain it. But yeah, so we're supposed to have a tag team match, but we get a one-on-one Sting versus the Giant. And of course, Jimmy Hart is out there. Sting is growing his hair out at this time. You can definitely tell it's not the blonde look anymore.
The reason why Sting got rid of his bleach blonde wasn't for the crowd. It was because Sting at one point wanted to be an actor, so he wanted to get his natural hair color and grow it out. This is something Bischoff said. So that's good to know. Good history lesson. It wasn't for the crows, originally for movies, which Sting did act in some movies, but it was like made for TV stuff.
So for this match, though, of course, every match with the Giant at this point, when he's against someone credible, they always got to work to get the Giant down to his knees. So Sting at one point does get the Giant down to his knees, but he can't keep the big man down as the Giant gets back up on his feet and starts dominating Sting. At one point, Giant's on the outside standing on the apron, and he goes to chokeslam Sting, who is inside the ring, but Sting reverses it and drop kicks the Giant, who falls out of the ring. Then Luger comes down, and the ref calls for the bell for some reason.
You know, it's WCW fashion. Matches get tossed out all the time.
Yeah, like Luger hadn't done anything yet, and the ref called for the bell. But whatever, they just didn't want to give us a finish. But as the Giant leaves, he talks to the camera and says the only reason Sting is alive is because Lex Luger was there. This was a quick match with a non-finish, and again, I was still confused of why Jimmy Hart paid off Harlem Heat so he could get Sting versus Giant. I don't really understand.
Yeah, I don't get it.
So if anybody knows, maybe they can explain it to me. Maybe I missed a line here and there. So that's the first thing for Nitro. So for Raw, what they had to combat that was the first match of Mankind versus Bob Sparkplug Holly.
It's the debut of Mankind.
So he comes out to some boos. Of course, this is the more crazy Mankind, not the fun-loving
This is the great, the one that does like the squealing, like Deliverance when he's like choking people. Awesome.
Pulling his hair out.
I love after his matches they play like a lullaby to calm him down. It's a great touch.
Yeah, no, I love every version of Mankind pretty much, and this one's underrated.
Yeah.
During this match, though, there is a section of the fan base here that is familiar with Mankind's history, and they chant, "He's hardcore." And then, of course, Mankind wins with the mandible claw, and he wheezes like a little pig the whole time. But after this match, we do get a recap of the Mark Mero and Triple H beef, and then we see Sable sitting at ringside. So that's what they got going on, and then we'll go back to Nitro.
Well, they mentioned she bought a ticket, so that's why she's there.
But the next match we have is the Steiner Brothers versus the Road Warriors, and I wish it stopped there, but we also throw in the Nasty Boys for this. This is a triangle tag match. So what happened is a few weeks ago, the Nasty Boys were attacked backstage, and they don't know whether it was the Road Warriors or the Steiner Brothers is who they think it is. So that's why they're in this match now. But the best parts of this match are, of course, when the Steiners and Road Warriors are in. So no offense to the Nasties, but they are nowhere near as good as the Steiner Brothers or Road Warriors, and I don't think anybody would argue against that. During this match, Scott Steiner and Hawk are just absolute machines and throw people all around the match. I could watch them two go at it for 20 minutes if they could.
Rick Steiner's a beast, too. His Steiner line, I love the Steiner line that he does. If you watch old WCW, the way Jim Ross gets hyped for the Steiner line is pretty funny. He's like, Steiner line, Steiner line.
Well, Jim Ross always knows how to put some more emphasis on the match. During this match, there are loud LOD chants in the crowd, so they're the fan favorite for this match, even over the Steiners.
And it's such a shame that the Road Warriors are not long for WCW.
No. Anyways, Hawk goes after the Nasty Boys on the outside of the ring, and then eventually all the teams start brawling until the referee gets the match back under control. It's hard to do with all of them, so good job on you. But during the match, Public Enemy comes out and attacks the Nasty Boys, and and Public Enemy pulls an old switcheroo, and they pull Knobs underneath the ring, and then a Knobs lookalike gets in the ring, and Scott Steiner pins him for the win.
Grunge comes in with the Nasty Boys attire, and honestly, I swear to, and he shaved, and I swear to God, he hit the body shape. I mean, he does look kind of like Knobs.
Well, I swear, when I saw this, I said he looks just like him. I can see why the ref got fooled.
I got a kick out of the finish.
And put it this way, he looks more like Knobs, and fake Sting looks like Sting.
Yeah.
But this was not a bad match before the ending, but I didn't hate the ending either, just because I was so impressed by how much Grunge looked like Knobs.
So Scott Steiner pins who we thought was Knobs. Turns out it was Grunge. So they're continuing Public Enemy and Nasty Boys feud, because now Public Enemy has cost Nasty Boys a match.
Yep.
You'll be seeing these teams again and again.
A bit too much, I'd say. So our next match for Raw is Isaac Yankem versus Mark Mero. During this match, Triple H comes to ringside. Of course, he wants to take a look at the action. He takes a seat next to Sable, and he asks her why is she interested in Mark Mero. And then he also says it was Sable's fault he lost at WrestleMania. So of course, the match happens. Mero wins with a diving sunset flip type pin for the win. Sable is seen clapping for Mero, and which does not appease Triple H. Triple H then grabs Sable, and Sable slaps him, and then Sable leaves Triple H and then joins with Mero. So she now is joined up with her husband.
Nice. You're going to find out very quickly that the reception you hear for Mark Mero isn't necessarily for Mero.
Right. This proves that character is more important than anything else in wrestling, because this wrestling is still pretty good.
He was over as Johnny B. Bad in WCW. He was over. Like, if anybody watches the 95 through 96 Johnny B. Bad DDP matches, which are all good, you will see how hot the crowd is for Johnny B. Bad.
At no point was the crowd that hot for Mark Mero and WWF. No point.
But yeah, this is nothing more than basically an enhancement match.
After this match, we get Ultimate Warrior announced for next week. All right, so let's go to the third match of Nitro. It is the Taskmaster and Arn Anderson, and he is with Woman and Miss Elizabeth, and they face Hulk Hogan and the Booty Man.
Lord help us all.
During this match, Bobby Heenan does say that tonight will be his last night announcing.
He acts like he's serious. But you might want to pay attention to the date this episode aired.
We'll get to that. During this match, Woman does her patented eye rake on Booty Man, and of course, no offense to Woman, the eye rake looks so bad. Like, she just puts her hands on there, and like it's awkward looking to me. But Booty Babe doesn't like that Woman did that to her man, so she sees this and takes off her shoe, and she hands it to Hulk Hogan, who hits Sullivan with it. And that was right before Sullivan was about to hit Hogan with Woman's shoe. So Hogan's using their tricks against them. And I got to tell you, I'm tired of seeing these women's shoes in their matches. Okay, can we stop it with this?
Yeah. It's like WWF even brought it up in their Billionaire Ted skits.
This is like the third or fourth time.
Yeah, like change it up. Do a different weapon.
Do the purse with a metal plate and bring that back. I don't know, something. So, of course, Hogan and Booty Man win. The Booty Babe lays a big kiss on the Booty Man.
Like, Hogan's acting shocked about the kiss and stuff. I was like, oh, it's so bad.
Yeah,
he's trying to help Booty Man get over, but it's not working. No one cares.
My thoughts for this, if I saw that, I said, can this be the end of people hitting each other with women's shoes? This is like the fourth time WCW has done this, and it is a dumb look to have two men who are going to hit each other with a shoe at the same time.
But afterwards, Mean Gene interviews Hogan and the Booty Man. Hogan says that it was a shoe-in, and thank God for the Booty Babe.
Before the interview, the heels do attack Booty Man and then bail as Hogan gets back into the ring. So then we get to interview time. But yeah, the shoe-in line, I'm not going to lie, I did get a laugh just because of how corny that was. I was like, oh, okay, dude.
Hogan is corny, so it worked. But Booty Man said he's tired of what's been going on, that he's got something in the back burner, and it will turn the tables. And let me tell you what, the plan's not good, and it's a terrible, terrible plot line. The Booty Man just like keeps saying that he's got a surprise, and he like whispers it to Hogan or whatever, and I just need you to be my partner next Monday, Hogan. And then he says satisfaction twice, but it's like really cringy. He's like satisfaction or something like that.
It's gonna give us a little satisfaction and give us a little satisfaction. Well, you know something, brother.
Awful,
yeah. The way Booty Man says satisfaction twice was horrifically bad. Booty Man is about as cringe as a wrestler can get.
British Beefcake has a bunch of terrible gimmicks, and this one might be his worst one.
But yeah, anyways, they're setting up a tag team match for next week, and they say they have something up their sleeve, but they won't tell Arn and Flair right now because that would be too easy. The crowd was booing this absolute shit piece of a segment here. The crowd hated it, and I did too.
Yes, as they should.
All right, so we'll go to the third match on Raw, which is the Body Donnas, who, again, are the tag team champions. And, of course, they come out with Sonny versus Aldo Montoya and Barry Horowitz. So I think you know how this match is going to go. The only thing I will say is that the Smoking Guns were the tag team champions. Billy Gunn had a neck injury. So the Body Donnas beat the Godwins at the WrestleMania pre-show to get the tag team titles. That tells you how much they care about the tag team titles.
That tells you how bad or how little Vince McMahon cares about the tag division at this point. He put the tag title match on the pre-show.
I mean, really, it's only 3 or 4 tag teams.
This tag team is terrible. Yeah, Body Donnas, Godwins, Smoking Guns when they're healthy, and who else?
That's really it. To be honest,
that's really it. So you got 3 bleeping tag teams because Aldo Montoya, Barry Horowitz, their dropper tag team. That's going to happen. Yeah, tag team division is terrible.
But of course, Skip and Zip do their usual heel tag team work. They win this match, of course. I don't even know what the name of the move they used to win was, but they use a tag team maneuver. So after this match, we have an in-ring interview with Shawn Michaels, and Vince tells the fans to cheer for Shawn. Of course, because of course Vince would. That's his name.
Vince is doing his finest Slurpee.
Vince asked Shawn about the Iron Man match with Bret Hart. Shawn says he has danced in God's blue heaven, and last night was the night of his life, and he thanks the Clique for it happening. Shawn says the people helped pick him back up, and that is something he will never forget. He's really trying to be the baby face of the, the next Hogan kind of baby face.
Yeah.
He thanks all the fans, and then Vince asks him about now being the hunted instead of the hunter. Shawn said something, honestly, I didn't even write down what he said, so I don't think it was anything important.
Shawn Michaels says his moment they waited 11 years for it, and then he keeps calling Vince Vin Man. He says that Diesel will see Sweet Chin Music and the Clique will dance all over his face. So he and his Clique will dance all over his face.
Yeah. He tells Bret Hart that he made a believer out of him, and he will always be a champion to him and all the fans. And I put in parentheses, there's no way Shawn actually believes this. And Shawn promises to wear the belt with the same dignity and class as Bret Hart.
Maybe they didn't hate each other at this moment. I don't know.
Maybe. It sure took a turn for the worse here soon. Then Shawn goes on to address Jerry the King Lawler because he is facing Jerry the King Lawler next week. And the crowd chants for Burger King, as they are wont to do with the King at this point. And then Shawn says he and the Clique will send Jerry the King Lawler back to his White Castle, if you know what I mean, Burger King. He says it exactly like that, so I didn't make that up.
If you ever hear Shawn Michaels cut a promo, you can pretty much hear it.
Yeah, you can hear him say that. But then Shawn tells Diesel that him and Diesel were friends, but that ship has sunk. And while they were friends, they make better enemies, and him and the Clique, as you said, will dance all over his face. I think he thought that line was going to be good.
Yeah. You can tell, like, some of these face promos that he was always HP Shizzle, honestly.
But now we have on to the main events for both shows. So the first one we have is Lex Luger versus Ric Flair, who is a WCW champion. And Lex Luger is a TV champion. But Ric Flair comes out with Woman and Miss Elizabeth, and we have a WCW title match on Nitro.
Every week. You know, it's nice it gets ratings, but, like, I mean, you can space it out a little bit, you know.
During Flair's entrance, he stops to say hello to Deborah McMichael. And, of course, Mongo, her husband, is on commentary, and he sees this. He's not happy about it. We might be starting to set up something here. But, of course, Luger and Ric Flair have had a lot of matches together, and this is following pretty much the same routine. Luger does a lot of posing in the match, which the fans like. I do love, and do Flair's matches sometimes, the opponent will get the upper hand for like the beginning of the match or for a fair portion of the match, and then Flair will go outside and start stomping around and have like a mini tantrum where he goes to fake like he's leaving and come back. I just love it when he does that.
Yeah. I like that there's a spot where Luger poses in front of Woman and Elizabeth, and that like scares them and they back away. And it like scares them.
But of course, during this match, when Ric Flair does get the figure 4 leg lock on Lex Luger, he does the thing where he slaps him and then Luger poses. The same thing he does with Sting.
Same thing with Sting. Yeah.
They pose, and then of course they reverse it. Luger then hits his power slam and he calls for the torture rack. Woman then grabs a cup from somebody. Woman grabs a cup from somebody in the audience, and as Luger gets Flair up in the torture rack, Miss Elizabeth distracts the ref, and Woman throws the drink in Luger's face, which makes Luger drop Flair. who then rolls Luger up, and he uses the ropes to get the pin for the win.
Threw a cup of coffee.
Must have been some hot coffee there. And then after the match, Sting comes out to chase Flair and crew off. This was a pretty decent match. I thought the ending, you had to know Ric Flair wasn't losing the title. I'm just happy, honestly, it ended DQ.
Yeah.
Even if it was a screwy finish. This is one of the few WCW title matches on Nitro you're going to see that have a winner.
After the match, Heenan's on commentary, and he says he's retiring, but then he reveals, hey, it's April Fool's. So if you weren't paying attention to the date, it's April Fool's, so Heenan says he's got the whole country.
He laughed his ass off.
Yeah, he thought it was funny. Then for WWF wants to counter Ric Flair versus Lex Luger with Justin Hawk Bradshaw versus The Undertaker.
They make a point to mention that Bradshaw's undefeated, and we have seen him on one Raw. So we won't go through all the bits in this match, but Undertaker hits a falling chokeslam. I like it when he does his falling chokeslam.
I like it too. It's nice form.
And then he signals for the tombstone, and then he hits it and goes for the pin, but Mankind comes and hits The Undertaker, causing a disqualification.
Not only did we get a bad main event because Justin Hawk Bradshaw, we haven't seen him enough to care. We get a DQ finish on top of that, so The Undertaker couldn't even finish him off, unfortunately, before Mankind came in. I feel like they could have had a finish. I guess they just didn't want to have Justin Hawk Bradshaw take a pinfall, but it's like, why does he need protecting at this point?
But anyway, so Mankind gets the DQ, and then he's not done with The Undertaker. He throws Undertaker into the stairs and then does his outside diving elbow drop, which always looks good.
Yeah.
And then he wheezes some more like a little pig, and he puts on the mandible claw on The Undertaker, and a lot of spittles coming out. It was pretty gross. I had to look away. I was like, I don't want to see that.
They keep dragging Mankind away, but then he keeps breaking it, and he keeps attacking The Undertaker.
Mm-hmm. It's just showing Mankind is relentless. But that's how the show ends. So this wasn't the best Raw, but this feud they're setting up between Undertaker and Mankind is absolutely fantastic. So I do like that we're setting up that feud. But of course, that is it for both shows. And yet again, I think I'm going to have to lean WCW side. Again, not a great show by both.
But I actually went WWF because I hated the Booty Man stuff so much. I did not much care for this Nitro.
Also, we disagree. Okay, good, because now our counts won't be the same anymore.
I think I just like the storyline developments from The Undertaker and Mankind, and that just kind of carries it. And then you have the Shawn Michaels has, he's there, he gets this coronation. The Mankind debut is obviously also significant, so that's also another reason I put it on here. And obviously Yank and Mero, you can chuck that. I don't care about that.
I didn't care for Shawn Michaels' promo, but I am interested in the Shawn Michaels Diesel feud.
Yeah. So there was a lot of storyline developments for me. So I went WWF. The ratings, Raw won 2.9 to 2.8.
Let's go ahead and jump into it with the next week. There is no Nitro for April 8th of 1996. Don't know why. I tried looking it up, couldn't find out. It may be an NBA game or something. I don't know. So we'll just jump right into the show. The show starts off immediately into Yokozuna's entrance. And we start off with Yokozuna versus Vader with Jim Cornette. So I like the sound of that. Two hosses going at it. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Vince's co-commentator today is Mr. Perfect, since King is facing Shawn Michaels later tonight. But Vader and Yokozuna push each other around and take turns smacking each other. Yokozuna hits a nice-looking Samoan drop on Vader, which is always impressive when someone does that to him. And then, of course, Jim Cornette distracts Yokozuna, so that allows Vader to hit his stiff clothesline on Yokozuna. Cornette hits Yokozuna with the racket, but of course, is that really going to do anything to Yokozuna? What was impressive to me was Yokozuna hit it's not the rock bottom, but it looks like the rock bottom type move on Vader, and he gets Vader up there pretty good. But after he does that move, he then hits Vader with a leg drop, which is usually that's the end of the match, but Yokozuna does not go for the pin for some reason. He wants to dish out some more damage, so he goes to splash Vader, but Vader moves out of the way, and then Yokozuna falls down, and his leg is kind of stuck on top of the bottom rope. And Jim Cornette sees that, so he holds the leg down, and then Vader does the Vader bomb to Yokozuna's leg, and he does it, I think, 3 times total.
They sell it as he broke the leg.
Yeah, Yokozuna does a good job selling the pain. He really makes you think, maybe he is hurt. I think the winner is Vader by ref decision there, ref stoppage.
Yeah.
But afterwards, a stretcher comes out for Yokozuna, but Yokozuna isn't going to be carried out on a stretcher. No, sir.
No.
They get a forklift out to get Yokozuna out of the arena, and they put like a splint on his leg. So they are saying this is bad news for Yokozuna. It's just was crazy to see them bring out a forklift to get this man out. Which, if in real life, yeah, that's probably how they would, because who's going to help get a 600-pound man out?
Yeah, that's true.
And at this time, Yokozuna was bigger even than when he came into the WWF, and I think he was written off so he could lose weight, but that
doesn't happen. He gets over 600 pounds, I believe, is what they said.
Yeah, he gets even bigger, which is a shame because I thought Yokozuna actually was pretty decent. But after that event, we get an in-ring interview with the Ultimate Warrior, so this could be quite the journey here coming. The crowd is happy to see the Ultimate Warrior. He still has a lot of fans. Vince asks the Warrior where he has been for 3 years. All right, everyone, buckle up. I tried to do it as best as I could to get what the Warrior said.
I did not. I gave up.
All right, so here's what I got. The Warrior says, those places where a man goes are not the places you will ever find on a map. And for a man to find himself, he has to go deep inside the mind. And in the 3 years that he has been gone, something that didn't die was the voices of the fans that spoke to him, and they all want to live one more time in the power of the Warrior. Yep, I got all that. I think I had to watch it 5 times. Vince then asked the Warrior about how he will stack up against the new generation superstars. Warrior says the power of the Warrior will meet the individual that challenges for that power. Goldust then thankfully makes his way to the ring while the Warrior is talking. Goldust gets in the ring and they both exchange their little noises, Warrior with the grunt and then Goldust with his little thing that he does. You all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird.
Yeah.
And then Goldust gets on a mic and tells the Warrior that he can come up to his house, but no one would be there. But they could play a superhero game, and he could be Superman and climb on his back, and they could fly away into a sunset.
Warrior's response. He said, "Hold it right there, freak."
He didn't like that. He didn't quite go the homophobic route that Piper did.
Yeah, well, he kind of went there. He's like, "I don't give a shit what you're into."
So after Warrior says, "Hold it right there, freak," like he said, it makes no sense. This time I didn't get what he says because it didn't make any sense to me. Goldust then tries to touch Warrior. Warrior says if he wants a full-length feature movie, then he has one for Goldust, and then he knocks him down with a clothesline, and that sends Goldust scurrying, and then Warrior poses for the crowd. That it was certainly a journey. So, of course, we're setting up the Goldust Warrior feud. Yeah, sorry, if anyone's a Warrior fan, I do apologize. His promo style is just not for me. After the commercial break up to that match, we go to see Yokozuna, who's still on the forklift. He's about to be transported to the hospital, but Vader comes back with a chair and he attacks Yokozuna's leg again. They are really trying to get some heat on Vader, and it's kind of hilarious how
I like it.
Let this man live.
I like it. It shows he's an absolute killer. He doesn't give a shit. He's gonna hurt you.
He destroys Yokozuna on this day. And so the next match we get is Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus Duke the Dumpster Droese. And my first note on this, it says, why are we running this match back?
Because
they just had a mini feud, but whatever. And during this match, we have a pre-recorded Mark Romero thing. Mark Romero does say that Triple H surprised him at WrestleMania, but the real surprises begin next week on Raw. So it looks like we'll have a confrontation between these two next week.
Oh, boy.
I'll just get to the finish of this match. Triple H wins with the pedigree after reversing the trash compactor finish from Duke the Dumpster Droese.
Yeah, that's
so Triple H wins. After the match, we recap Mankind attacking The Undertaker, and then we see Bulldog make his entrance for the next match, and his wife is in the crowd today. And the next thing is going to be the Ahmed Johnson versus British Bulldog arm wrestling contest, actually.
Oh, thank goodness. That's
get ready for that. Because each man says they are the strongest man in the WWF. So Owen Hart comes out with the Bulldog because he's a good tag team partner. And he gets on the mic and he says the British Bulldog is the strongest man in the WWF. And then he grabs the British Bulldog's biceps and he tells Ahmed to look at the Bulldog's muscles. They're rock hard.
Owen Hart is the perfect hype man.
And Vince McMahon goes over the rules. And Owen says, wait a minute, look at all the oil on Ahmed Johnson. That's not regulation. Owen Hart is hilarious throughout this whole bit. He is the star of this. I'm telling you, it's a damn shame that he passed because I think he would have been even better in the post-Attitude Era. But so, after we wipe down Ahmed Johnson, gets some of the oil off, they go to arm wrestle again. But Owen Hart stops it and he tells the ref to move Ahmed's elbow because he's trying to use too much leverage.
It's too close. It's getting too much leverage.
So, all right, we fixed that issue. Then we go to do it again. But Owen Hart once again stops it, saying the Bulldog wasn't ready.
He wasn't.
Then the ref, for whatever reason, throws Owen Hart out. I can't believe they let the ref get away with that.
Egregious officiating.
But anyways, after Owen Hart gets kicked out, unfairly, I will add, they then go do the arm wrestling match, which Ahmed Johnson wins. And Mr. Perfect notes this. He's on commentary again. He does note this, and it is true. Ahmed Johnson was holding the table with the other hand.
He was.
So that's cheating. So I actually agree with Mr. Perfect. Ahmed Johnson did cheat.
Yep.
But after Bulldog loses, Ahmed Johnson is celebrating his win. Then Bulldog hits Ahmed with the chair.
I mean, as he should, because that's what you should do to a cheater.
Exactly what I mean. And he's trying to celebrate in his face like he didn't. Like, Ahmed, you cheated. So after Bulldog hits Ahmed with the chair, he puts a table in the corner of the ring, and he hits Ahmed Johnson again with the chair. And Mr. Perfect, he made me laugh. He tells Ahmed to pull up a chair as he's getting hit with the chair. Kind of funny. Mr. Perfect is a funny guy. So after he hits him with some chair shots, he then throws a table onto Ahmed Johnson, which looked kind of painful. And then some refs and agents, producers, all that, come out to break it up, and they assist the injured Ahmed Johnson. And then after that announcement, we see Diesel coming out to the ring in a Shawn Michaels shirt. Yeah. And then he joins Mr. Perfect and Vince on commentary. So he's kind of rubbing it into his ex-best friend, Shawn Michaels. And he's going to be out here for the main event, which is Jerry the King Lawler versus Shawn Michaels. And I would say Shawn Michaels, and I didn't think the crowd was as excited as I thought they would be for him.
Yeah. Diesel mentions that it took Shawn Michaels 8 years to get the Grand Slam, but it took him only 2 years. So he's trying to flex on him.
And then Diesel also correctly says that Shawn has never beaten Big Daddy Cool. And Diesel says he wants to take Shawn's title and destroy his life. And then Vince asks Diesel, why are you taking such pleasure in destroying Shawn's life? And Diesel just says, hey, I must be that kind of guy.
Most of the match is just Shawn Michaels reversing any kind of offense that King does.
But Shawn hits his flying elbow drop, and then he wants to talk some junk to Diesel at the announce desk. King then tries to sneak up behind Shawn, but Shawn hits him with the sweet chin music for the win. And then Shawn then motions for Diesel to get into the ring. Diesel takes the headset off, and then he gets into the ring, and the two start punching each other. So they actually do get to the fisticuffs. So Perfect picks up Shawn Michaels' title, and Shawn sees that Mr. Perfect has the title, and he goes to get it back from him, but then Diesel hits Shawn with a big boot. And then Perfect throws the title belt to Diesel, and then Diesel hits Shawn with it.
So when I'm watching, I don't know if that's ever addressed again. Perfect and giving the belt to Diesel. They were rivals. Like, they wrestled over the Intercontinental title a few times. I'm assuming that's probably why.
So that ends Raw. I do like the Diesel-Shawn feud, so I think this ending worked pretty well. Yeah. I think if Raw was facing Nitro, I think Raw had a good chance of beating Nitro this week.
As well. Last week, WWF was 2.9 to 2.8. This week, unopposed, they scored a 4.7.
Wow. Yeah. That's almost Attitude Era numbers.
Yeah. So that is the highest number I'm seeing from either show for a while. So that's crazy that this show they tuned in.
Yeah, this was a solid episode. I mean, really, yeah. I like the Yokozuna Vader stuff. I like that. I like the Ahmed Johnson British Bulldog arm wrestling thing because of Owen Hart. I thought he was phenomenal. Yeah, the only thing I didn't really care for was the Ultimate Warrior promo, but that was setting up the Goldust feud too, so that was okay.
Yeah, everything had a purpose. Everything was for a storyline because even Triple H and Duke Jersey, they did the Mark Marrow stuff.
So this was a solid piece of business right here.
Very rare.
All right, so next we'll go to April 15th of 1996. We go straight into the action again this week, and we start with Hulk Hogan's entrance because we have Hulk Hogan versus Arn Anderson and the Taskmaster. Now, I know what you're supposed to say. I thought the Booty Man was supposed to be there, and he had a big plan, but, Booty Man apparently got hurt.
Sullivan and I think Ric Flair attacked Booty Man on WCW Saturday Night, and then they pile drove him on concrete, so they run him off. I'm guessing Bischoff realized the Booty Man's not going to work as a main event.
That was the plan. They get 5 minutes with the manager of their choice.
Is Hogan insinuating that he's gonna beat up women or Miss Elizabeth? Like 5 minutes alone with a manager. Like,
Yeah, Booty Babe comes out during the match to cheer on Hulk Hogan because she is, representing her man, the Booty Man. So this is a very quick match. This is the match where Hulk Hogan fucks up the figure four spectacularly.
Twice.
He absolutely messes it up.
Yeah, he does on Sullivan very terribly. Then like the LeBron meme, there's 2 more for real. So he's gonna give you one on Arn Anderson as well.
So you would think with this match we would get a long match because remember Arn Anderson has beaten Hogan twice. Flair and Arn Anderson and the rest of the Horsemen. Taskmaster as well has just been in Hulk Hogan's way at every turn. So you think this would be a long, hard physical match. Nope. Hogan dominates this match and he wins it in about 4 minutes.
Yeah, this is like egregious Hogan booking.
Yeah, this was an F segment here. Woman goes to hit Hogan, but Hogan throws her in the ring and he motions to Elizabeth that he wants 5 minutes with her. Both women are in the ring and Hogan approaches them. And then Jimmy Hart gets into the ring too to help Sullivan.
They sold this as like this would turn the tide. I'm like, you beating up their managers isn't going to really solve anything.
So we all know where this is going though. Jimmy Hart's in the ring. So the manager that Hogan wants for 5 minutes is Jimmy Hart. Hart throws powder at Hogan, but I guess he completely misses because Hogan completely no-sells it, and then he rips Jimmy Hart's shirt off. So Hogan hits Jimmy Hart with the big boot, and you would think he would go for the leg drop, but he doesn't. He picks Jimmy Hart back up and punches him as the Giant comes down to the ring and chokeslams Hulk Hogan, who gets right back up, no-sells it completely, Ultimate Warrior pedigree style. Hogan does the whole Hogan routine to get the Giant down. He hits him with a big boot, but he can't get the Giant down, so he scoop slams him. So that is paid off as a big moment.
He slammed his father.
Yep, he slammed his father every time he slams a Giant. They compare it to Andre. And for whatever reason, while Hogan is doing all this to the Giant, Mean Gene gets into the ring and then he taps Hogan on the shoulder. So Hogan turns around and he picks Mean Gene up and he's about to scoop slam Mean Gene before he realizes it is Mean Gene he's about to scoop slam, which didn't make sense because I think he would realize that was a wrestler, someone in a suit. So it just didn't make sense that Hogan would pick this man up and not realize it was Mean Gene. But this allows the Giant to get out of the ring. Then, of course, Mean Gene wants a ring interview with Hulk Hogan. And the audio's a bit messed up during this interview, so I didn't catch everything that Hogan said. But Hogan tells Gene that he's sorry and that Hulkamania is back on a roll. And what are you going to do when he is champion again?
Yes, it's basically just he's telling you he's back on the title hunt. Lovely.
So that is that. That's about as bad of a segment as you can get. And payoff for a feud, too, that you can get. That was just totally horrendous.
Yeah, absolute squash job.
All right, so for Raw, the announcers say that Bret Hart will break his silence since his WrestleMania loss. Because we have not heard nor seen from Bret Hart since he lost the title to Shawn Michaels. But the first match is Leif Cassidy with Marty Jannetty, the New Rockers, versus Mark Mero with Sable. Vince and King gush all over Sable. Yeah. And to be fair, she's looking pretty good. And Leif Cassidy at this point is playing the character where he is just like this happy-go-lucky guy and he's loving every bit of life.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. He turns to the camera, he's like, I love being a rocker. It's kind of funny, but not going anywhere. They kind of turned Jannetty heel kind of
randomly,
quietly, I'd say. Because right now they're playing as heel characters. So clearly Vince gave up on him being this big babyface. Mero wins with a top rope sunset flip. And after the match, we go to Diesel, who is on the phone from Germany. Diesel said he was just trying to knock some sense into Shawn Michaels. And he says that Shawn's a good fighter. And he was going to go in the ring last week just to talk to Shawn Michaels, but Shawn attacked him. And he says Shawn needed to be taught a lesson. And he says Shawn fell right into his trap and no man can beat him in a no-holds-barred match. But we'll go back to Nitro. We do get to see Pepe's outfit of the week now. He is dressed as a red cowboy.
Nice.
But the next match for them is Public Enemy versus the Nasty Boys. We told you they were setting that feud up. And it looks like we're going to get one of their mini matches. Public Enemy comes out to make their entrance, and the Nasty Boys hit them from behind during their entrance with trash can and chairs. This match is the typical hardcore match that you would see between these two teams. It's nothing near what ECW was doing. It honestly was kind of boring for the most part.
See, I kind of, this of their matches, this is probably one of the better ones.
But see, I think I was instantly not looking forward to it because these are two teams I don't care about, so I'm just kind of like, whatever. And I also felt like this match was longer than it needed to be.
Yeah, it's probably decently.
But the finish saw Grunge going for a top rope leg drop while Knobs is on a table, but he misses and he goes through the table instead, which allows Knobs to pin him. After the match, Rocco Rock hits both of the Nasty Boys with a trash can lid, and then he does his top rope move. I think it's that flip thing he does, and he puts Sags through a table. One thing I do like about the Nasties is that every single thing they say, they can always turn it into a nasty verb or whatever they want to use during their sentence. Every other sentence of theirs talks about something nasty. I don't know if they were ever approached for one, but they could have easily been, I think, like in the early 90s cartoon show, if they were like animal-fied, you know? Be a Nasty Boy show. I could see that being a cartoon. You know, kind of like Street Sharks, you know? I could have totally seen that. But that is the second match there. The second match for Raw is Bart Gunn versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. We're officially all in on the Stone Cold thing. And we see a video of Stone Cold on Superstars where he lost to someone named the Caribbean Kid in a match, and it was revealed to be Savio Vega. And the reason Savio Vega had to do that is because Stone Cold and Ted DiBiase said that he wasn't going to face Savio Vega ever again. That's why he donned a mask and became the Caribbean Kid. And then this allowed him to get a rematch against Stone Cold. And then now, and if you've been watching, Bart Gunn has had long hair and a mustache, but now he has short hair and no mustache. Trying to update that look.
I mean, Billy Gunn's hurt, so Bart is going to do some singles matches.
Yeah. During this match, Vince said that Ahmed Johnson's thumb was broken from last week's arm wrestling match. Which one was it? The hand that was in the arm or the one holding the table? He was holding on to it pretty hard.
I didn't put much of his match. Austin dominates, and then he doesn't hit the stunner. It's kind of like a variation of the stunner, and then he follows it with the $1 Million Dream.
Yeah, this is his first time hitting, I guess, a jawbreaker type move. They did not call it the Stone Cold Stunner at this time, and it's like you said, it's not his finishing move yet. But this is the first time we've seen him do a move like it.
It's not really until the build for King of the Ring where they start calling it the Stunner.
Yeah, he doesn't add the kick until later, because where I'm at, he hasn't even done the kick yet. And that's that. We get a promo for Diesel and Shawn Michaels at In Your House. And then we go to an in-ring interview with Vader and Jim Cornette. Cornette says there was a man here named Gorilla Monsoon that stepped into the danger zone and crossed Vader's path and was out for 2 months. Then there was a man called Yokozuna who was once WWF champion, and in just a few seconds, Vader put him out, and he was reduced to a blubbering mass of flesh. So Jim Cornette is selling Vader as an absolute monster, and he's right. He did put out Gorilla Monsoon, and he did put out Yokozuna. And then Vince, he announces that Vader will face Razor Ramon at In Your House.
I had no idea that they had interactive Vader and Razor.
Yeah, I know. I saw it. I was like, oh, that's an interesting matchup. No real build to it, but, you know, you don't really need too much of one when it's Vader, Razor Ramon. But Cornette says Razor Ramon is the next man that will step into the danger zone, and he says he can see into the future, and it says that Razor Ramon may cease to exist after stepping into the ring with Vader, and Razor will never, ever forget Vader. And then Vader barks at Vince. So yeah, Vader, you know, this is what he does. He does not talk much, really, at all throughout his beginning run. All right, so then we go to the third match for Nitro, and it is Earl Robert Eaton with Jeeves versus Macho Man. And the announcers, when Macho Man comes out, talk about how Ric Flair has made life hell for Macho Man. And he really has. He's taken everything. Money, woman, and title.
They mentioned continuously during this segment that Randy Savage is in Dial M for Monkey.
Yes, they really hyped that up. And I was like, oh, yay, I loved that as a kid. I loved that episode.
Yep.
Welcome, heroes of Earth. You have been chosen to receive the most glorious of gifts, the opportunity to face me, the great wrestler, in a contest of strength and skill.
I'm surprised that they gave Eaton a fair bit of offense.
I'd say that's a Savage decision because everybody like backstage always loved Bobby Eaton. They always talk about how great Bobby Eaton was in the ring, so it might be Savage just trying to give him like, you know.
But Eaton actually does do some little bit of work in the crowd. When he gets a figure 4 on Savage, Jeeves hands Eaton a Horseman t-shirt, so he's kind of mocking Macho Man, you know. He's kind of supporting Ric Flair. Tommy Macho Man didn't really work out for Eaton because this pissed Macho Man off, and he reversed the figure 4. But the finish saw Macho Man getting back into the ring, Scoopy slams Eaton again, and then he hits the flying elbow drop for the win. And Macho Man's still not a happy guy because he shoves the ref
Yeah,
afterwards.
he tosses that ref down. He said, F that. Or this MFer is getting a second elbow. But wrestlers come out. A lot of wrestlers come down.
Was it? I have it as Alex Wright, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and Bobby Walker come out to prevent Macho Man from doing any further. Macho Man doesn't care that those wrestlers are trying to stop him from doing the elbow drop to the ref, so he jumps and does it anyway, and he hits the ref with the elbow drop. And then all the wrestlers kind of dogpile Macho Man, who is then escorted out by security in handcuffs.
The law comes out.
All right, no promos afterwards. Okay, so we'll do the main event of Nitro. It is Ric Flair with Woman and Miss Elizabeth and the Giants versus Sting and Lex Luger, who are the tag team champions. And this is for the tag team titles. And again, Ric Flair sees Deborah in the crowd, so he walks over to her and he holds her hand in a seductive way. Of course, this does not sit well with Mongo, and he's insinuating that he may have to get involved with Flair at some point if this keeps up. And he does.
Sting tosses Flair out of the ring into the Giant. Giant, tosses Flair back in the ring. Because he then gets tossed right back out by Luger into the Giant, who catches him again. And the Giant then just tosses him in again. I thought that was really funny.
And then they do this one more time because Ric Flair doesn't like that Giant keeps just throwing him back in the ring because he's been getting beat up.
The look of Flair when he stares at the Giant is hilarious.
Flair at one point gets so fed up he chops the Giant for tossing him back in the ring, and then the Giant is pissed off and he chases Flair off, who runs to the back as we go to commercial. So things aren't looking too good for the team of Ric Flair and the Giant. Eventually, Flair does get a tag into the Giant, and the Giant takes over the match. And Mongo says something really messed up during this match. The Giant is stomping on Lex Luger, who's in the corner. And when this is happening, Mongo says the last time he saw someone get the boots put on them like that, it was Rodney King.
I missed that.
I was like, damn, dude, wow, I can't believe they let you say that.
Oh, dude, if the seats are that now, man, he would be out of here.
Times have changed. Another thing that's impressive, it may not be impressive to some people because they probably expect it, but it's impressed me. Giant military or gorilla pressed Luger like it was nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it was clean, very clean.
Flair and Giant work over Lex Luger for a while so we can build a hot tag to Sting. Once the hot tag is made, Sting gets the Scorpion Deathlock on Flair, but Woman goes to throw coffee in Luger's face, but he ducks it, and it goes right into Sting's face, so the ref goes for the DQ. And
Giant's fed up and
then
just
afterwards,
chokeslam.
Luger and Sting eat some choke slams, and then Flair goes to pin Sting anyway, even though the match is over, so he can say he won, and then he can get his strut on.
Get that visual pinfall. He wants that visual.
And then he does his styling and profiling as we end the show.
Flair also goes for the pin on Luger as well.
Oh, does he? Okay. So he said I'll beat both of them. Both of them are one night, Jake. You beat Sting and Luger one night?
He's done that before.
Yeah, that's true. So I think that's a good ending for them, but we'll do our analysis after we do the main event for Raw, which is Savio Vega versus Goldust for the Intercontinental title. The crowd here does not like Goldust. They not into it, his provocativeness, because Goldust gets on all fours and he licks the belt, which pisses this crowd off. And then, of course, he feels up on Savio Vega seductively, and then he later grinds on him in the corner. So, he's really getting some heat from the crowd.
Oh, this is where Goldust gets on the mic and says he will personally, if they don't shut up, he will personally come out and kiss every single one of them. It's hilarious.
If you people do not shut your mouths right now, I am personally going to come out there and kiss each and every one of you.
I wish he did it more.
This is like the second time he's done it. The crowd is pissed.
Yeah, this is not piped audio, people. This is a legitimate booze he's getting. They should have kept this Goldust version for longer. It wasn't nearly long enough before they tried to make him a babyface. At one point during the match, Marlena grabs the Intercontinental title and hands it to Goldust, and he tries to hit Savio with it, but Savio reverses it, and Savio grabs the title and does actually hit Goldust with it, and he gets the pin for the win, and he is the new Intercontinental champion. But is he? Hold on now.
Tim White comes out.
Another official comes out. Yep, another Tim White comes out, and they have a discussion. And one ref says Goldust won, and the other ref says Savio Vega won. So Gorilla Monsoon does not like this, indecision from the ref, so he makes his way to the ring to sort this out. And Howard Finkel comes on the microphone and he tells us that Gorilla Monsoon is stripping Goldust of the Intercontinental title, and he is declaring the Intercontinental title vacant and has ordered a rematch between Goldust and Savio Vega for the Intercontinental title.
I don't understand why they didn't just have Vega win and then got a rematch next week and lost. Like, with the whole stripping of the title, I don't get it.
Yeah, I have a note here. I said, why did they do this? But I mean, this was an okay match, but yeah, it's just weird how they decided to do the ending. But after this, Raw's not over yet. We go to the Bret Hart video, and that shows him being upset after his loss at WrestleMania 12. He even left the arena without showering. He was in a 60-plus man Iron Man match. Yeah, I think he needed a shower.
Yeah.
But Bret says there were a lot of things wrong with that match, and he says it was a 60-minute Iron Man match, but instead it was a 62-minute match. He says he had Shawn in the sharpshooter when time expired, and the bell shouldn't have rung if they were going to go into overtime. So he says he was screwed over by the restart. And that's a legitimate complaint, I think.
I love this next part. He says he never sees himself working for another organization because that would be a step down. I'm like, just wait a year and change.
He says he was betrayed and he wants another title shot, but he doesn't know yet if he wants to come back. So we are still continuing the will he or won't he come back storyline with Bret Hart, and we will be doing that for quite a little bit longer here. But that is the end of both shows. For this week, I think Nitro ended really well with the tag match.
Yeah.
But I think the opening with Hulk Hogan left such a bad taste in my mouth that I had Raw winning this week.
I also had WWF.
I don't think anything was as good on Raw as the ending to Nitro, but nothing on Raw was anywhere near as offensive to me as the beginning of Nitro.
The fans would agree with us. 3.1 to 2.8.
Nice. And that's 2 for Raw for you, right? Isn't that?
Yes, 2 in a row for Raw.
But that is that.